I'm joined by the Managing Director of Policy and Public Affairs at the Road Haulage Association. Rod McKenzie joins us. Rod, good evening.
Hello, Wade.
Are you all right?
Yes, fine. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Now,
Good.
Is it quite common, Rod, for trucks to be targeted by people to smuggle into this country?
Yes, I'm afraid it is. It's a problem that's been with us for some time, and I'm afraid it's not going away. And probably it's getting a little bit worse at the moment. For example, we heard one of our members being attacked on Saturday morning by a group of around 20 immigrants in the Calais area. And they basically jumped on the front of his truck while it was driving along. Incredibly dangerous. The driver obviously had to stop, and then they put blocks and bricks on the road. Then they climbed onto his trailers with knives and iron bars, and then a brick was thrown through his windscreen.
Oh, how
so this
terrifying.
Is incredibly, we rely on trucks to bring us everything we get in Britain, but we don't often understand what some of these drivers have to go through in the face of these highly organised immigrant gangs.
You gave us that example there, Rod, and we heard in our clip how Gareth from Northamptonshire compared people trying to get into his truck as the same as home invasion. So this can obviously be quite frightening for lorry drivers. How can drivers combat this?
Well, a lot of drivers are no longer doing the cross-channel routes because they're so frightened, and their families are frightened about it, and they've stopped them from doing it. Well, our advice to truckers is very simple, and Gareth is following a lot of it, which is don't stop anywhere near Calais. So do all your filling up with fuel and everything that you need to do as far away as possible, 100 kilometres or more away, and do your regular walk-around checks, look for anything suspicious and report it. But trucks are incredibly vulnerable the moment they slow down or stop. And these migrants, who are organised by a very cynical and manipulative gangs, are sort of trained to jump on board and, frankly, risk their own lives in a desperate attempt to get into this country.
Rod, if someone does get into a truck who's not meant to be on board it, who do the authorities deem responsible for this? Is the trucker responsible? Can he face any kind of repercussions? Well,
he can. It's always one of those things that you have to prove one way or another. Because clearly if the truck driver is in collusion with the migrants, that is people trafficking, and it's a very, very serious crime. Equally, if the driver is entirely innocent and somehow migrants have got into the back of his trailer through no fault of his own, and he could prove that, then there should be no problem. But obviously, we deal with both types of cases, and it's very worrying because not only are you, as an innocent lorry driver, looking after your own health and safety, but you're also frightened that you'll be in trouble with the authorities for people smuggling.
Absolutely, because there will be some truck drivers out there that will accept bribes, large amounts of money to try and get to smuggle people in, won't they? And they kind of tar honest truck drivers' reputations.
Well, there are some of those cases that will be going through the courts in due course, of course, and we can't talk about that. But it has happened in the past, and I think it's a tiny minority. And the vast majority of lorry drivers that I know would go nowhere near that sort of arrangement.
It's their livelihoods, isn't it? It's their life.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you could end up in prison for a very, very long time. So why do it for an extra couple of £100?
Yeah, it's very worrying. Listen, thank you for your time today, Rod.